1. So I work in a smallish-sized store. On a typical day, we only have 2 employees, usually management and a cashier, working at any given time. This means one employee is on the register while the other walks the sales floor and stocks. On a normal day, this is more than enough. But occasionally, we get a rush of people in the store and we open up a second register. If the second employee isn't in the middle of helping a customer on the floor, but they always jump onto the register as soon as they're available. Now, our customers are usually understanding and patient when these rushes happen. However, in the last week, I had 2 separate occasions where full-grown adults threw the biggest fits because there wasn't a second register currently available. The first one happened during our shift change. These are the worst since things are chaotic already. To make things worse, it was the end of a new employee's first shift. I just clocked out and was gathering my things, double-checking the schedule for my next shift and who I would be working with. The manager that just came in 20 minutes prior switched the other 2 employees out. During this time, there was only 1 person in line, and maybe 5 groups of people in the store total, so it was the ideal time to switch them. She took the new person to the office to count their till and help them clocking out. While I was heading out, the phone went off. The on-duty manager was still busy, so I went ahead and answered it. It happened to have been another store asking questions, so I decided to sit down and answer a few of them before I left. During this time, about 2 minutes out on the floor, everyone in the store decided they were going to leave. I finished talking to the other store and walked out. Instantly, I was approached by a man asking what sounded like, "I lookin' for a job." This isn't uncommon, so I pointed to the poster next to the register that gives the website to apply, and explained we were looking for new employees. And then the conversation went like this.
I only got a couple things. You mind opening up another line?"
"Sorry, but I'm actually off the clock and leaving. However, they are almost done in the office and be able to open it up in a minute."
"Why can't you just open up the second line?"
"I don't have a drawer. I'm off the clock."
"Why isn't there another damn checker?"
"Sorry, they're in the middle of a shift change and having some technical issues. New person was indeed having a hard time figuring things out. They're almost done, and will be out in a minute."
"If you weren't in that goddamn office yapping your mouths off, y'all be done. This is shifty-ass customer service."
This really pissed me off because the yapping he was hearing was me talking to another store about work-related questions, and the manager guiding the new girl through the end-of-shift process. By no means were we yapping. And then, as to make me even more irritated, some middle-aged teen, who was really hard to tell, girl jumped in.
"Why do you have a shift change in the middle of the day anyways? It'd be smart if you don't change shifts."
I was done. I don't make the schedule, I just follow it. Someone will be out in a minute. You can either wait here at this closed register, or you can wait in line. Sorry, but I am off the clock. I walked out into the office to let them know the tension on the floor and walked back out. The man must have also walked out because he left his small handful of stuff on the counter. Funny thing is, the woman that was originally behind him in line was up at the open register checking out. If he hadn't waited 3 minutes, he could have left with what he wanted. 2. This happened a few years ago. So, I worked at a now out-of-business craft store on the East Coast. Due to our location, we got a fair amount of customers of different sorts that would stop by to browse or buy a specific item. Some quick info for this tale. Most of our staff was female, with myself being one of the few men. I want to say it was 2 or 3 women for every guy. And that's just in my shifts. As you would expect, most of our customers were women as well. At the time of this story, I worked the paint, toy, and dry art side of the store, which was a good third of the building. Additionally, I'm not a people person and am very blunt, which is why I try to stick with stocking or freight, rather than interacting with people, but I don't mind helping people, especially when they are polite. So the story. I was doing my job and browsing my section to restock or clean up after people's kids because, of course, when an older, middle-aged woman stops me. I don't remember exactly what she asked me, garbage memory, but I do remember that it was not in my section of the store.
"Excuse me, can you help me find something?"
"Sure, what are you looking for?"
"I'm trying to find creepy paper, but can't seem to find it."
"I'm sorry, you're looking for what?"
"Creepy paper, but it's not where I thought it would be."
Now, every now and then we will get customers that know items by different or uncommon names, or don't know the name for it at all, and either make something up that would fit, or just give its description. It's nothing new, and our usual response is to ask what the item does or is used for. If we don't know the name, then we might know the item by its purpose, or can at least guess where it would be by looking around items it might be related to. I.e., a strange hook for cotton or wool might be with the crochet hooks, a special liquid maybe by the quality paints, etc. So I ask her, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't think I know what that is. Can you tell me what it is used for?"
Can you get one of the girls to help me? They would know what it is.
Okay. I look around for a second. "Hey, A1, can you help me for a second?"
Sure, what's up?
"This lady was looking for..."
Yes, I'm looking for creepy paper.
A1 looks at me.
Sorry, could you describe what it's used for? Seriously, it's just creepy paper.
Okay, but what is it used for? She's growing increasingly annoyed. She says something rude in response. Before she can start ranting, I see a senior co-worker that works on the other side of the store and call her over.
Hello, ma'am, you need help with something? Yes, I'm looking for creepy paper and these two don't even know what it is.
A2 is confused.
I'm sorry, but I've never heard of it. What's it used for? Oh my god!
A1 is trying to remain civil. Ma'am, if you could just describe it.
It's creepy paper. It's not that damn difficult. It's a common tool for
an extremely broad craft category. I'm now long since done with her shit, and now in full I'm done with this mode. Lady, we don't know anything by that name. Just tell us what the damn thing is used for, and we can help you. He says it's used for a very specific purpose. All three of us realized at the exact same time, and we're so perfectly synced we couldn't have done it better if we tried. Oh, you mean crepe paper? It's over in that section. All three of us make a beeline for the product with a somewhat stunned customer in tow. We give her the item and she leaves. The three of us share a what the fuck look, and at A2's prompting, because she's worked with me enough to recognize my I would rather walk into traffic than deal with them again face. I share what happened from the beginning. We each give frustrated laughs and go back to work, sharing the story with our other co-workers like we normally do, so we all have something to laugh about until our shift ends. Moral of the story, if you go to a store, ask a worker about an item and they don't know what it is by the name, just tell them what it does and is used for, and you just might get helped. 3. Setting: a medium-sized retail shop with one cash desk and a tobacconist. There is a 3-till layout on a long table. There is a safety screen, covered plexiglass, that separates us from the shoppers. Behind the tills is a large wall with tobacco products. In the UK, tobacco products are placed behind a cupboard. When I am refilling the tobacco, I am not facing the front of the store, so I cannot keep an eye on the customers. The story. That day there were no large deliveries, so to occupy my time, I restocked the tobacco shelves. Suddenly I heard an "Excuse me" from behind me. I got up expecting a customer waiting for me. Instead, the customer, a middle-aged woman, said, "You call the manager, you have a shoplifter." I glanced towards the exit and saw a guy in a beige hoodie matching the description of a serial shoplifter. Jake. A bald, stout man, no older than 50 or 60, was stopping the hooded guy from exiting the store. The bald man was pointing at me, in what I could surmise was an attempt to get the hooded guy to return to the tills. I pressed on my headset and said, "I think we have a shoplifter. I need a manager on the shop floor immediately." That day, we had 2 managers, a stout young adult, Rob, and a blonde woman, Bianca. Bianca was a relatively new member of the crew, and the stout manager joined around the same time as I did. Bianca was at the scene first, while Rob said through the headset, "Do you want me to check the CCTV? Or out on the shop floor?" I heard Bianca say, before cutting out.
I think it's better if you're out here, Rob, since our customer is stopping a shoplifter.
He came out a moment after and dealt with the issue, while I rang up the lady who had informed me of the shoplifter. Rob came back with a bottle of Jura, a 22-pound whiskey, and placed it back on the shelf. The man said he knew us. I guess this kind of implied we gave him the booze. Bianca probably returned to another aisle where she was working. I didn't see where she came from, or where she went after the incident. "Is it Jake?" I asked Rob, who replied, "I don't think so." Then Rob went to the back office. A moment later, "OP, can you clear the alcohol from the shelves and leave the empty boxes behind?" Okay, I replied, and went to the back warehouse to take out a blue trolley. I spent the next 5 minutes taking off full boxes of alcohol from the shelves. I only left one empty box per product we sold, i.e., every expensive alcohol box. Think £20 and above on display had nothing in them. As I was filling the blue trolley, Rob said, "I think it's Jake." "Told ya," I quipped back to Rob. 5 minutes later, I went back to the warehouse with a full trolley of expensive booze. "Booze train coming through," I yelled, and left the trolley in the warehouse to be put away by the other two. I returned to the cash desk and rang up the other waiting customers. 4. To give a little background story, so this mess of a tale makes sense, at the time I was a 19-year-old male. It was during the height of COVID and I was living in Oregon. In Oregon, most grocery stores have things called bottle rooms because the state taxes our bottles. It's like 10 cents extra cost, and people can get it back from just returning the bottles to the bottle rooms. Well, during COVID, most bottle rooms were shut down. This is because they're really messy and unsanitary. Imagine every sort of drink spilled onto the floors and machines. Bugs loved it, though. Boy, did they love it. As well as people would just bring the dirtiest bottles inside after they reopened them. But it was mandatory that someone had to be in there cleaning the machines after every use. Made sure only a few people were in there, and also make sure they followed the limit, which was about $14.40 a day, and they can only redeem it the day they returned the bottles. I worked at a local chain of grocery stores there as a courtesy clerk. Since I was old enough and was there before COVID, and understood how to fix and maintain the machines already, they put me in the bottle room. It was not the funnest experience, especially in the heat. Anyways, it was a normal day in the bottle room like the rest. A line formed, of course, of people, and only one machine of the three were functioning at the time. At the end of the line was a little old white lady with her grandchildren. After the line died down, she came in and had 3, maybe 4 grocery carts filled with a ton of bags and cans and bottles. I had told her that the limit was $14.40, but her grandkids could claim the money she got instead, so she would get multiple 1440s, since I knew she had way over the limit. Although if a line formed again, I'd have to ask her to be in the back of the line. She gets started, but she was already giving me red flags. Which, to be frank, I really don't remember what flags they were. It was just her mannerisms, being rude one second and being really nice to me the next. She offered to get me water, which I declined. I could tell if I accepted it'd be a bad idea as well. I didn't know her, and could just go inside and get myself ice water if I really wanted it. I was just waiting for her to leave so I could. Another lady gets in line behind her, and I ask her if she wants to go, since Karen was still taking forever and fumbling around and not doing the simple task of putting the bottles in the machine quickly. She said she was chill waiting a bit, but did have an appointment that she needed to attend to. Then a line behind her started to form, and at this point, Karen was above 1440, and it wasn't just the nice patient lady waiting. I asked Karen nicely if she could wait at the back of the line so the others could go. She said no and started arguing with me, saying I said she could do her bottles and now I'm backtracking, etc. Just kept fighting me and saying I don't know the policies at my own store that I worked at, or that they were stupid. Meanwhile, her grandchildren were well behaved, but now started to get nervous. The kind, patient lady said she had to go because of her appointment and left. But alas, there was still a line and they seemed to want to get their bottles done, and a few I recognized as people who do their bottles fast, unlike Karen. At this point, I said, "Do you want to talk to my manager?" She said yes. Out comes my amazing manager, who was second of command at the whole store, so I was surprised she'd come out to see what was going on. As she was asking what was happening, and I was trying to explain, Karen kept interrupting me. Soon my manager got caught up about what was actually going on, and told her the same thing I did. She started fighting my manager, and my manager fighting back. This is when details got a little fuzzy for me, cause it turned into a screaming match between the two. I do remember, though, Karen saying her life was so hard and she was from a town an hour away, just trying to do her bottles because COVID made it impossible to get them done, and she tried every single place on the way here, but they wouldn't let her. She also lied because previously in the fight she said she came here often, and these weren't the rules. My manager just went, "Oh, COVID made it hard for you. We work at a grocery store," and both of us at the height of the pandemic. Karen also said that she offered me water because she knew she was going to be a while, and how she was so kind, that she waited in front for her fair and square. She also started to get racist because the people in front of her were all Latino, and she assumed they were all related and just cheating the line. Although none of them spoke to each other to indicate they even knew each other. At one point, my manager gestured to me and said to the lady, "Why are you acting this way and being shitty when my underling is just a kid?" Karen just sputtered nonsense, and my manager just yelled, "He's just a kid." I do have a baby face, and a kid still compared to my manager. I don't remember how my manager managed to get her out, or even more, how the fight carried on, and I do apologize. Anyways, she left in a huff saying she will never come back. Turned to me and said,
"I know you just work here."
Blah blah blah, love bombing just so she didn't look like a dick, but still managed to be rude and not apologize. She wasn't sincere in the slightest. She got her grandkids to retrieve the money for her, which meant they went into the store by themselves, and the oldest was probably 11. My manager walked in with the boy towards me, and he apologized to me for his grandmother's actions. He was very sincere about it and felt really bad. My manager just said he shouldn't have to apologize, just don't become like your grandmother, and thanked him for apologizing and such. They drove off, and she stayed true to her word and never came back as far as I knew. A month after that I was promoted to cashier, who was sometimes banished to the bottle room, but only to cover breaks. I worked there until I moved across the country to live with my boyfriend. I work my dream job as a Hot Topic and Barnes & Noble barista now, which is still customer service, but at least it's better than whatever Karens who lurk in the grocery stores have to offer. 5. I used to work at a thrift store a few years ago, where the manager was absolutely insane. If things didn't go her way, there would be a freakout. This story involves the biggest freakout she had before I resigned my position. Winter had set in, and a series of snows, partial thaws, and refreezes had resulted in an absolute mess in our parking lot. The snow that melted off the roof had piled along the side of the building, burying several parking spaces under a ridge 6 feet high of layered ice and snow. No one could park there, obviously, which turned out to be a boon. You see, we also had a gutter that ran for 60+ feet along that side. Now imagine that gutter experiencing the freezing and thaws and ending up being overflowed with a massive hanging block of solid ice all along its length. We had a solid column hanging from the gutter to the ground, where it had started with icicles and then just grew from there. One morning, before the building opened, the gutter finally gave way, tearing free from the building and crashing down on the looming ridge of ice below. And there it sat, the crushed remains of the ice column adding to the chaos. Well, that day, the store opened and it was business as usual. Since no one had been able to park on the side of the building for weeks anyway, no one had really paid it any mind, until the very end of the day. Our manager decides at 6:30 p.m. that the situation was intolerable. Note: we closed at 7. At the end of the day, all staff but the closing crew had gone home. The closing crew constituted 3 female employees total. Me, 5'3", coworker 1, 5 feet, and an elderly coworker in her 70s. The parking lot was full-on dark except at the very back of the building. There was a single light to help us get to our cars. The only light where this monstrosity of ice and gutter lay was illuminated by what came through the windows of the store. Aside from the mess, the parking lot itself was a single layer of ruffled ice that had caused several falls. More than one of us had severe bruises on our hips and thighs from nasty falls we had taken. The manager is about to leave us alone to shut everything down, and she walks onto the floor, does a patrol to make sure there are no messes, looks out the window and sees the gutter. She freaks out, rushes into the middle of the floor, and yells across the building at us register jockeys.
"We can't leave the gutter there. It's a hazard. It needs to be moved."
We can't move it now, it's dark, and no one on the staff can move that thing."
It's a hazard. It could fall off the pile and crash into someone's car. Get the male co-workers to move it somewhere safer. They've all gone home. There's no one, says co-worker 1. Manager is absolutely exploding into full-on screaming. It needs to be moved now. It can't stay there. It has to be moved somewhere safer. You can't leave it there. You have to move it. The elderly co-worker chimes in. We physically can't. None of us are strong enough, not even all together. It's just not safe. It has to be moved now.
We can't. She stands in the middle of the floor, fist clenched, chest heaving, then spins on her heels and storms out of the building to just leave us to close the building, I guess. I sent an email detailing what transpired to our manager's higher-ups, detailing her full-on tantrum on the floor, corroborated by my co-workers. The response, I know some of you don't like your manager's way of handling things, but she was hired for a reason, and I have to stand by my managers in this situation. The gutter was moved the next day, when our team of furniture-moving employees managed to slide it off the ridge of ice to the ground, so that it wouldn't hit any cars in the empty area of the parking lot. I resigned not long after that. My biggest regret is that no customer was present to see her screaming fit at the time, and file a complaint that might have been taken more seriously. Hello everyone, the Celestial Heater here. Bet you thought you'd seen the last of me, but I'm always waiting. And before we go on, just because we're from a sideways evil universe doesn't mean we should be rude, I'd like to say thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video, and give a special shout out to Reddit user Super Sailor Z. That was the author of story number 1. Thank you very much, Super Sailor Z, for allowing us to use your story. Now, Hellfreezer was being a lazy dick this week and decided it wasn't going to make a video on Saturday because he didn't have the, what do you call it, spinning planchettes or something. I didn't have enough stories for that video, so he wasn't going to make one. I mean, come on now. You've got to stick to a schedule. I, of course, deemed that unacceptable, so I put him in a sack, buried him face down in the backyard with a hose. I'm not going to tell you where I inserted the hose. Don't worry about it. I'm sure he's fine. Probably. Anyway, I decided rather than nothing, we'd have some fast food and retail, and I'm going to do iPop tomorrow for you. It's all delightful chaos, really. As long as we have chaos, I'm happy. Now, let's see. As it's Saturday, well, if Hellfreezer's in the backyard, I'll have to take care of his errands today. So I'll have to order the groceries for him. I'm going to order all kale because I am a bastard. Plus, I haven't had that for a while. And I will order... I'll order him some cola, but I'll get the kind he can't drink. And possibly quiche, because everyone should have quiche. Quiche is lovely. Fight me. Let's see, this is Saturday. Usually on Saturday I drive around the local neighborhood, while streaming it, of course. Gotta give the fans what they want, and get involved in bum fights. But as this is not my universe, I understand that sort of thing is frowned upon. I suppose we could play Phasmophobia. That's the game where you play a ghost and you hunt down and kill the people trying to identify you. Maybe it's different here. I don't know. But yeah, we'll try. I'll give it a go. I'll see what it's like. And yeah, new update coming apparently. All right. With that, I'm going to. Okay. With that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, take very good care of yourselves, because no one else is going to. And remember, when your enemies are at the door and the wolves are baying for blood, fight them and feast upon their hearts, for it will make you stronger.